Hey Bulls and Bears, what is happening? It's Tuesday. Back with another dose of economic reality. No charts today, no screenshots, just me in front of my house. You might hear my congestion today. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm going to keep my sunglasses on. My eyes are pretty red. I don't want anybody accusing me of being under the influence of anything, if you know what I mean. But I am becoming very, very concerned. What we're seeing now in the debt markets, what the banks are doing, creating this currency to control these markets. If you've been watching the 10-year yield, you saw a big spike up, an unprecedented spike, followed by an unprecedented drop. And if you look at the balance sheet of the Fed, you'll see a big uptick in the balance sheet. So it goes right along with the controlling of the yields, and that controls mortgage rates and it controls markets. So it's beginning to become more apparent that things are not under complete control. And we've talked about here how if they really wanted to control inflation, why don't they just do what they did back in the 80s and bump interest rates up to close to 20%, between 18 and 20%. Well, that's because everything is so leveraged. You would see a Great Depression, beyond a Great Depression type of sell-off, plunge in the markets, and they don't want that. So expect inflation to continue to get worse, and the cost of everything continue to go up. You might see some goods and products start coming down in price at your local stores because retailers, and especially large retailers, they really stocked up during all of the shutdowns, when the economy was shut down, because they didn't know how long things were going to be shut down. So there's a lot of oversupply in some warehouses. Even Amazon came out and said they're going to start leasing out some of their millions of square footage of warehouse space because of the demand is plunging, because consumers are getting tapped out. The savings rate continues to plunge. Combine that with this erasing of paper wealth with the markets that have come down, both in cryptos and stock markets. Also with the housing slowdown, home prices still going up, still up 18% year over year, but there is a slowdown. We're starting to very slowly see asking prices come down, but still much higher than they were last year. So we're still in an inflationary environment in real estate. By the way, I'm in front of my house here. This is a cherry tree. I don't think I've ever talked about this. Let me grab one real quick. Obviously, this is not ripe yet. This is a cherry tree. Starts getting ripe, if I remember correctly, around August, September. And then we have a bunch of crows that come in and they go up in the tree and they start eating these things as they turn red and drop them all over the place. Branches start falling down because there's so many crows. Sometimes there's 15, 20 crows up in this tree. I guess if I was a hunter, I would hunt them and maybe see if I could turn them into meat, but not something we're allowed to do in California. They'll probably call the cops on me. I don't know if you can eat crow. Will it get that bad where people are going to start eating animals that they'll have to catch? Well, look at the cost of everything. Look at the cost of meat. Maybe not, but I think prices are going to continue to go higher. Remember, the money creation machine cannot grow food. The money creation machine cannot build homes. The money creation machine cannot fix these shortages of things that are so important. You know what hits the fan? It's getting closer, and we know that the banks that run all this, they want more control. Ultimately, it's going to be everyone on a digital currency. That's their goal. That's their plan. We talk about corporate greed a lot on this. Well, it's not corporations alone. It's the machine behind the corporations, right? The banks that run everything. And you say, okay, this guy in office right now, so they'll put some bozo in office and pretend that he's in charge and that way everybody points the finger at him. Oh, it's his fault, it's his fault. But meanwhile, it's the banks that are running this, right? So do you really think the quote-unquote leader right now, if you want to call him that, is calling the shots on this money creation, on these debt markets? Come on, get real. So yeah, these people are just put in there for scapegoats, and they don't care if these people look foolish. Even the people at the Treasury Department, the people at the Fed, they don't care if they look like idiots for making one wrong call after another, right? Inflation's transitory. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, we were wrong. Miss Yellen. Oh, sorry, I misjudged inflation. Of course, they're going to be put out there as the scapegoats. That way people can blame them, but they never blame the machine behind it. So we're all going to be under some digital currency. They're going to use these rising prices to put everyone, back everyone into a corner. And I think ultimately after this, there's going to be a massive, massive amount of people that are going to become savvy to what's happening. Right now, still nobody's paying attention. People would rather drink their coffee and not think about it. But ultimately, people are going to be forced to think about it. And maybe that's what we need, because besides, it's the people that have allowed this to happen. Right? Not you and not me. We know what's happening. There's not really much you can do individually. So you have to have a lot of people realize what's happening. Ultimately, hard assets, gold, silver, it's going to be back in play. And but first, we're going to see a lot of pain and a lot of hard times. I've called this Great Depression 2.0. I think it's being held off right now, but I think it could happen very quickly. There could be a surprise situation that pops up that nobody really talks about, and no one could say exactly what it is. Could be war. Missiles could fly, nukes could fly. We see all this tension happening globally now, and isn't it interesting that we saw war just after the Great Depression, and a lot of people say that's going to be the focus. They're going to focus on some other crisis event to take people's eyes off the economic collapse. But that's where we're at. Continue to prepare, folks. Try to be as self-sufficient as possible. We see the cost of fuel, the cost of diesel. Truckers are saying that they can no longer make profits with the cost of diesel. Will the supply chains completely break down and millions of people will be without food? Anything's possible. I'm not going to take anything off the table. And I'm not here to pretend like I know exactly what's going to happen. But I do know that if you're prepared, it's not going to matter as much exactly how this plays out. If you have food, if you have shelter, if you have paid off property. Sorry, a little bit congested here. That is something that most people don't have. Even if it's a bug out location where you can take your camper, your RV, that is going to be more valuable than you can imagine. And if you have a place where you can get fresh water, that's going to be more valuable than you can imagine. So keep prepping. I'm in the suburbs. I'm not out in some survival compound somewhere. And I'm doing the best I can here with the garden. Grow food. Got tomatoes that I had to put chicken wire around. It's going to get bad, folks. Continue to prepare. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being here. Big love. Keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.